I met Tchoung Ta Tchen through Andy Dale, who was my Yang-style Tai Chi teacher. Andy and some of his students went as a group to visit Tchoung up in Vancouver, Canada on some weekends. Tchoung was a Grandmaster of Tai Chi, and his main claim to fame was the amazing distance he could send people flying through the air before they landed. He was so advanced that there was only one other Tai Chi person on the North American continent that was good enough to play the game of push hands with him, and that was Master Cheng Man Chin of New York, who was a Yang-style master who was well known and loved on the East Coast. Tchoung was a serious dude. He had been a general in Chinese army and was definitely one of the old school. What made him different is that he was one of the truly advanced masters that left China before the Red Brigade went around torturing and killing all their masters. This escape made him radically different from the teachers that came after the communist takeover. He was unlike them in that his main interest was not in getting rich, but rather in creating truly advanced masters. He first started teaching in Seattle, Chinatown, and since he never did learn to speak English, he had a Chinese translator. The class had been active for a few months, at which point Tchoung took a minute or more to explain a particular move. The translator said, he basically said to relax. Another student there, a white guy, immediately said, he didn't say that. Tchoung got a quizzical look on his face, then went over to talk to that guy. After that, the new guy was the translator, and that is when the teaching really started. So you see, even though the master wanted his Western students to learn well, the typical Chinese dude did not. When Tchoung Ta Tchen was a lieutenant in the Chinese army, he was stationed for a while on Mount Omei. One cold winter day, he went to a clearing on a mountain to practice some Tai Chi. Since it was freezing cold out, he was heavily bundled up. After doing Tai Chi for a while, he noticed a skinny little old man sitting there watching him. Despite the cold, the old man was wearing nothing but a loincloth. When he saw him, the old man taunted him, saying, "Your Tai Chi stinks, but you can't catch me, neener, neener." So Tchoung chased him, but the old man was very nimble and was able to scoot over all the rocks and tree roots so fast that Tchoung couldn't catch him. So he quit and went back to the clearing to continue his practice. Before long, the old guy returned. When Tchoung saw him, he came over and said, "Hit me." Tchoung said, "No, I don't want to." The old guy answered, "Hit me." And Tchoung said, "No." So the old fellow started calling Tchoung and his ancestors all kinds of mean and nasty names. The outcome was predictable. Tchoung punched him in the stomach so hard, the old man went flying back 8 feet and crashed on some big rocks. He immediately sprang up, came over, and said, "Hit me again." So, pow, the old man went crashing onto the rocks again. Then he got up again, unhurt, and came over to introduce himself. It turned out he was the abbot of the local mountaintop monastery, and he invited Tchoung up to practice some Qigong. This was rather a common way for Taoist masters to meet in the olden days. They would trade punches to the stomach in order to see how well the other handled it. In that way, Tchoung learned Mount Omei Qigong, which he taught to Andy, and Andy taught it to me. Andy once learned a different Tai Chi form, which took him a couple of months. I can't recall the name of the form. It was something obscure. Anyway, he performed it for Tchoung Ta Tchen, and he did it only one time. After a month or so, Tchoung performed the new form for Andy. He did the whole form, and he did it better, employing more of the principles of Tai Chi. So he was able to memorize the entire form after seeing it only one time, and that is a rare and amazing ability, to say the least. Going to see Tchoung was my first experience with a real live Grandmaster of the internal arts. One thing he would do sometimes is have some of his better students line up in a row with their backs 6 feet from the wall. There were thick pads on the wall. Then he would go down the row, and one by one he would do a little push hands with the student. The student would try to push him, and he would yield out of it and then push them. Trying to push him was like trying to catch a cloud. Getting pushed by him was like meeting an irresistible force. One of his senior students told me you couldn't really feel the push. It was like you got seduced into flying through the air, which indicates the addition of energy pushing. They would still be traveling upwards when they slammed against the pads on the wall 6 feet back. Tchoung was a big old portly guy with a big belly, so I assumed it was soft pudge. Maybe he was reading my mind, because one time he came over and told me to press with my thumb against his belly. Well, let me tell you, I can press real hard with my thumb when I brace it with my fingers. His belly was not soft at all. It was like pressing on a piece of wood. It wasn't pudge. His whole waist was surrounded by about 6 inches of rock-hard muscle. Can you say core strength? Good internal training develops great core strength, and it's what you need to be able to push people really far through the air before they touch down. Tchoung Ta Tchen was in his upper 80s when he had quadruple bypass surgery, and as is common with such things, he didn't live so long after that.